The tragedy of the bombing of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. This documentary is about the bombs that dropped on Japan and killed hundreds of thousands of people. The Manhattan Project. In July of 1945, the Manhattan Project had successfully tested the atomic bomb right after the surrender of Germany in May. After they saw what the bomb could do, President Truman had tasked a committee of advisors to talk about whether to use the bomb on Japan. After the very long talk about whether or not to use it, Harry Truman decided to finish World War II, so he said yes. The scientists who invented the bomb include Robert Oppenheimer, Edward Teller, Rudolf Peppers, and many others. How the gun operated inside of the bomb. A gun-type nuclear weapon, one mass of uranium-235 hitting another to make a nuclear reaction. The core component of the bomb was a smoothbore gun barrel through which the uranium projectile would be shot. The last design was the use of 64 kilograms of uranium-235. The Enola Gay was the bomber chosen to carry the atomic bomb. Enola Gay is the name of the modified B-29 Superfortress plane. The Enola Gay also had a great crew. The names of the crew members were Major Fabry, Captain Van Kirk, Colonel Tibbets, Captain Lewis, Staff Sergeant Caron, Sergeant Stebork, Staff Sergeant Dunsbury, Private First Class Nelson, and Sergeant Chouinard. How the bomb was put in the plane. Maneuvered over a bomb loading pit from which the atomic bomb was put on a hydraulic lift into the plane's weapon bay and then onto a runway. Before Hiroshima was bombed, it was a key transportation hub and had a large population of 200,000. It was a very academic city with a lot of military camps too. The crew of Enola Gay dropped the bomb, little boy. Hiroshima blew up. People were immediately disintegrated, and so were their houses. Everything was gone. It looked like something from hell. Between 90,000 and 166,000 people are believed to have passed away from when the bomb hit, and 4 months after. According to Paul Tibbets, the driver of the Enola Gay, he said, "We turned back to look at Hiroshima. The city was hidden by that awful cloud, boiling up, mushrooming, terrible and incredibly tall. No one spoke for a moment. Then everyone was talking. I remember co-pilot Robert Lewis pounding my shoulder, saying, 'Look at that, look at that, look at that.' Tom Fabry, wondering about whether radioactivity would make us all sterile. Lewis said he could taste the atomic fission. He said it tasted like lead. 70,000 of 76,000 buildings were damaged or destroyed, and 48,000 of those were totally razed. People who were close to the epicenter were vaporized by the intensity of the heat. One person was vaporized and only left a dark shadow where he was standing. It states, a 6-year-old boy said, near the bridge, there were a whole lot of dead people. Sometimes there are ones who came to us asking for a drink of water. They were bleeding from their faces and from their mouths. They had glass sticking in their bodies, and the bridge itself was burning furiously. The details and the scenes were just like hell. 3 days after the U.S. dropped Little Boy, they dropped the second bomb. This was Fat Man. This bomb killed a total of 80,000 at the most. Still, it did not kill as many people as Little Man, but it was still as dangerous. The decision made to drop the second bomb was on August 7th, 1945, and they were going to keep dropping bombs till Japan unconditionally surrendered. Long-term and short-term effects of the bombing of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. According to Dan Listwell, though exposure to radiation can cause acute, near-immediate effect by killing cells and directly damaging tissue, radiation can also have effects that happen on a longer scale, such as cancer, by causing mutations in the DNA of living cells. Mutations can occur spontaneously, but a mutagene like radiation increases the likelihood of a mutation taking place. Not only did this affect human genetics, animals were affected as well. After the bomb, there was also an increase in leukemia and cancer. When this happened, it changed the way people reacted to the use of nuclear power in creating bombs for future warfare. Because of the destruction caused by nuclear weapons, this brought about the need for new laws and a new way of thinking regarding nuclear warfare. The world was affected by this event and would have long-term significance in controlling the use and development of all nuclear weapons. All of Japan was affected by this sad event, and so were the survivors. They couldn't wash the pain that they saw out of their eyes. The U.S. did not intend for so many people to die. The bombing of Hiroshima and Nagasaki was a tragedy. Do you think Hiroshima should have been bombed? And if you were in President Truman's shoes, what would you have done? This topic is important to history because if the U.S. did not bomb Hiroshima and Nagasaki, we might be living under Japan's control. 74 years later, Hiroshima and Nagasaki are now industrial cities with a high population of almost 500,000 each. Both Hiroshima and Nagasaki have memorialized the event of August 19, 1945 with museums, sculptures, peace ceremonies, and parks. They want no one to forget.